Yeah, yeah, you can make all the faces you want. You can pull out those dolls. I've purposely not put us on the screen yet just because I wasn't sure whether you guys wanted to put your dolls away or not. Hello, everybody. Ah,
They're
yeah.
not dolls. They're not dolls.
Okay.
They're figurines, damn it.
Figurines.
They're action figures.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Campfire. It is Tuesday, which obviously means it's time for our show all about communities, all about guilds, all about building and working together to form a really positive gaming community. And we have awesomeness. First off, I just have to get it out of the way because then I can just let it sit here. Say hello to Cthulhu Plushie. Cthulhu Plushie who has tentacles and I can get the arms up. There you go. Has a couple of arms with which to grab you and then suck you into its essence and little wings. And little feetsies. So I've got a giant Cthulhu plushie that is going to be sitting on my lap this entire episode. And there you go. Introductions done. First off, Suliko, thank you so much. I love my plushie. But yes, I am joined by my typical host, with the most S's, and most dresses. I think you guys wear more dresses than I do. I am joined by Screen.
Hello.
I am joined by Blankspace.
Hello, loves.
And this week, we are joined by Lewis B. Do you want to just be called Lewis, or do you really like the B at the end?
Lewis would be great. Lewis would be great, thanks.
Lewis, okay.
What, you want to be called your name? And you play video games? What the hell?
Right?
Well, it's yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that. People sometimes call me Josie. There's nothing wrong with that. It's, I guess, yeah. So anyway, you are joining us today as we basically tackle an issue that we think is worth tackling based on an article you wrote in TenTonHammer, or a little piece you wrote. So what I'm going to do is I am going to I'm going to ask Screen to do it because Screen's got the show notes open and I'm balancing many things, including a Cthulhu who might destroy the world if I stop hugging him. And I'm going to have you post the link in. And while we go to roast Lewis B., I'm just going to keep adding the B there. While we roast you, Lewis, we're going to give people a chance to at least link on it and go check it out because it's a really good read. And it's the foundation for everything we're going to be talking tonight. And if you look at the bottom, it's all for the kids. So
I will be linking that as soon as chat catches up for me. There we go.
yay, chat catch up. So Lewis, my dear, everybody who comes onto this show, we ourselves have been through it as well, are placed delicately, or not so delicately, into the campfire to be roasted. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'll give it a whirl. These are probably going to be awful as well.
Okay, well, before we let you do that, I'd like you to take a moment, introduce yourself, so people can place the name, the face, maybe even the avatar, depending, with you.
Hi everyone, my name is Lewis Bennell, also known as Persistent Worlder, to give me my full title, although Twitter seems to cut me off. I'm an associate editor at TenTonHammer.com, which makes me a full-time writer at home, which is pretty cool. I'll settle for that.
It's a lot of work, though. I will point that out. It is an awful lot of work. Anyone who thinks you could just play games and write about them, it's a lot more than that. But yes.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you don't have those office problems of fighting other people for the milk and the biscuits. It's all on you.
It does tend to help the fact that I'm not much of a people person. They just tend to annoy me.
So you prefer hobnobs to people.
My own company's great.
And it's all about communities. I think that's probably one of the things we do say a lot is, yeah, we love people. Yeah, but we also hate people. We could be done with, that. But that's a whole conversation for later. Now it is time for us to roast you. So to start us off, give us 2 truths and 1 lie about yourself. And then we're going to see if we can figure out which is which.
Which to start with first? Alright, I'll start with this one. I suffer from crippling OCD with odd numbers. My journalism degree was invaluable, and I once ruined a guild by stealing 60 million worth of credits.
Okay, so the last one immediately makes me think Eve and makes me think totally possible, and yeah, I can totally see that. The concept of being OCD with odd numbers, I guess I'm glad there's 4 of us.
They're just not turned up.
Yeah, that would have been bad. Nope, wrong amount here. But I would personally say that the second one, your journalism degree did you much good, was pretty much not true. That's my guess. What do you guys think?
Well, you said invaluable, not worthless.
Invaluable. This is
Right.
true. This is true.
I'd say that's those journalists with the words just twisting them and confusing you.
Mm-hmm.
Trust them journalists.
Okay, so which one is true for you, Screen? Or which is the lie?
The lie. I think that he's probably OCD for odd numbers. To be honest, strikes me as an odd number OCDer.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'd
he's an
say
even number
1
OCDer.
or 3. I'd say 1 or 3. Just, you know.
Oh,
So- Ta-da!
He's probably sitting there tearing little pieces of paper going, they're not talking about this. I'm just going to ignore them until it's done. Okay, so go ahead.
Do you want me to reveal?
No,
No.
never,
Oh.
never reveal. You get to keep them
That's
secrets
fair enough.
forever.
I'll take him to my grave.
And we're talking about the truth and lies. We're not talking about what, just in case you take that the wrong way.
Yes. Okay,
No
so
stripping.
yes, we've had Blankspace stripping on stream. Already the campfire has taken its path downhill. Now, for the next one. With hindsight being 2020, can you tell us about a time you've made a decision in a guild or a community that you've been involved in where you thought it was the right idea at the time, but now that you've tacked on more years of experience under your belt, you look back and you kind of go, ooh, I really would have done that differently?
I think the main one that springs to mind is my first. Actually, I'm going to change my mind here. I think the one that I would have done differently was when I did a first impressions of Star Wars: The Old Republic, and it was after I'd played Guild Wars 2 for many months during the closed beta. Went over to a press event to preview the game. It crashed repeatedly. The staff were rude. They couldn't fix my client. They wouldn't give me any more time with the game. So I came away really pissed off. Wrote a first impressions. Quite venomous first impressions, and it ended up getting me quite a fair few death threats.
Wow.
So I probably would have done things a little bit differently there. And then the other one, a similar circumstance, but it would be the Wildstar first impressions that I did.
What is it with you and first impressions? I'm starting to see a trend here.
I'm quite opinionated, so usually I just get a beam up on it about one thing or another and run with it. And I think the Wildstar example, it was just a really poor environment to test the game, not enough time, and I probably should have, with hindsight, just come back to it a couple of months later after a bit of a new perspective, because now I'm just eating my words and enjoying the game. I still stand by the Star Wars: The Old Republic, though. It is a pile of shite.
Oh, that's the thing. If you're not, it's better to have opinions than to not have an opinion at all. I'll go right out on the fence and say
I'm
that.
not gonna disagree with the man. Not after what we talked about yesterday.
Oh, yeah, this is true. In our PvP discussion yesterday, during the show, we brought up Ilum.
No, you asked what my worst PvP experience was, and I didn't take a breath
Yeah.
before responding to Ellen.
Yeah, see, I was going to say the same thing, but I was letting you go first. But yeah, so there you go. Alrighty. So, next question, and the final question for roasting you, and then we will literally dig into the meat of tonight's show. So, what is one of the most memorable experiences or events that has occurred in your guild or community life that's given you as an individual the greatest sense of accomplishment?
I think it's going to have to be running a clan in a game called Neocron, which is not very well known, quite a niche MMO, came out maybe 8-9 years ago, and it was third person sci-fi where you could actually control the world map, and when you did so, you could own outposts and earn revenue from them. And it was running a guild called the Black Cartel, and basically we were the most prominent for years, and because it was quite a niche MMO, server numbers were about 4,000 on each one. So because of that, you could actually be quite famous just from the things that you and your guild did, and I think that's my greatest accomplishment, because not only were we really well known, but we were incredibly wealthy.
Yeah, especially with all those credits you stole.
Yep.
No, not necessarily. I'll take that to my grave. No, I was a bit of a merc in Neocron, so I've got good memories from that, and we did really well. So it's a good accomplishment to be able to say that for several years, you were the powerhouse of the game.
See, that's the thing. I think when it comes to communities, I like the smaller sense of communities of the servers, everyone kind of at least recognizing either the guild name or who's around, or, you recognize somebody because they're always in that piece of armor or kit or gear. And it builds a great sense of accomplishment just from the fact that you run down the street, someone knows your name, or you pass by someone and you know their name. It's, to me, that builds the server community. And, I'm not hostile, anti-cross-realm stuff. I'm not. But I do have a preference to keeping things insular to your servers so that you can have a whole bunch of community. But everyone knows that about me, and I'm weird, and that's perfectly normal.
That is in no way related to your opinion on community, Pseudo.
No, not in any way, shape, or form. Cthulhu eats my words. So... now we move into the survival guide. And like I said, this is literally based on this lovely piece that Screen had sent out to everyone that was written by Lewis for TenTonHammer. And it's asking a very simple question. Would you let your children play an MMORPG? Or as they call it, MMOGs. Because it's not always an MMORPG. Sometimes it's an MMO just game. So, I guess I'll take a moment and I'll let you speak again, Lewis, because I'm going to let you start us out with the whole answer the question and maybe tell us a little bit about why you were inspired to write this piece.
I wrote this piece after having a chat with some friends in a guild called The Unnamed, and we were talking about kids playing MMOs and whether we would or whether we wouldn't allow our children to play them. And I think it's quite an interesting topic because, it's not just exposing a child to, say, Grand Theft Auto, it's exposing a child to a huge array of players of different opinions, different attitudes, some rude, some nice. And there are some weirdos on the internet, and the internet's a bit of a scary place at times. And I think as someone who's got a young daughter and a lad on the way, I suppose I'm going to have to think about it a little bit more in the next couple of years.
Blank, you've got a Viking princess. So would you let your child play an MMO?
Well, I've mentioned before, she is 3, and she does like to show me up and turn wonderful highlights from my stream. But as she grows up, I guess as a parenting first before a gamer, parenting, if she wants to do something, I'm going to allow her the ability, to explore everything that's out there, music, art, gaming, whatever it may be. There are a lot of crazies out there, and I think it's actually a positive you can turn it into something positive. So if I'm letting her play a game and she's like, Daddy, what's a douchebag? Well, I can say that's a bad word that people say, and you shouldn't use it till later. And when it comes time to have that conversation, just have that conversation. But I feel that it's there's a lot of more larger community factors here. So parenting-wise, sure, absolutely. Why would I want to, take away a potential growing environment and learning environment and an entertainment venue? Just know that there has to be boundaries, and you should definitely have clear and open communication to any child that's being exposed to a scary place, whether it's the real world or the virtual one.
Well, we are gamers. We're slightly biased. Wouldn't you agree there, Ed?
I'd say so. If any environment that we are already in and we've been exposed to, we know where to navigate. We're going to be less subject to the outside influence of the media, as well as we're going to be a lot more lenient in our judgment of it.
Now, see, the thing that gets me, and I'm going to pull some comments directly out of chat here. We have had Lady Grimm. Hi, it's good to see you again. We've had Lady Grimm state, I would let them play it so long as they are mature / old enough to handle the content and conversations that will likely be found within the gamer's chat. Now, I think it's literally up to an individual parent to make the decisions that are going to be best for their children. I'm going to put my respect that people don't need a license to have children, just like you don't need a license to get on the internet, right? Right? Just saying. But we also are very aware of the fact that there are a lot of parents who don't quite follow gaming and just kind of go along with, well, the kid asked for this for Christmas and they can buy it because, they're 14 years old and it says you have to be 13 to play this MMO. That should be fine, right? Right? Go ahead, Lewis.
I was just thinking back actually to when I was younger, about 13, 14. I used to work in game, and I remember one year Grand Theft Auto had just come out. Parent with a kid. Kid can't have been much older than sort of 7 or 8, and she puts GTA on the counter, says I'll take that. So I had to ask her if it was for her, which she said yes. And I had to make her aware that there was sex, drugs, violence, shooting, murder. Is your child in any way, shape, or form going to have any sort of hands-on time with this product? And you could tell he was going to, because he was already reading the back of the box, trying to walk his way out of the shop with it. But and she just literally turned around and said, "Well, what's the harm? It's only a game." And I think some of the one, she was just an idiot, clearly poor parenting, who took no interest in what her child's actually undertaking. But the other side is that, like some of the examples I linked in my editorial, there are some sort of frightening scenarios that can take place in MMOs, especially, like the furry incident, where people are role-playing sort of sexual games in Azeroth, or like a predatory paedophile within a guild that was sort of preying on the younger members, all by chance and all incredibly rare in the genre. But then if they happen, even myself, who knows the industry and the games themselves, you cannot police 24/7.
Yeah, see, this is the thing, my background, besides just in gaming and in technology and things, is in internet security. And one of the most poignant things that was pointed out to me, and I believe this completely, is that everything that is currently going on criminal-wise online, this means in games, this means just, you running around and getting into a phishing scam, or, any kind of attack that is done online, it's all done for the exact same reasons people did it before the medium existed. You still have bullying, whether it is in person or whether it's online. You still have theft, whether it's in person or it's online. You still have things, unfortunately, like pedophiles and stuff like that, whether they have online or not. Now, I think there is a big problem, And it's never going to go away. Anonymity online is brilliant. People like having the ability to open up. And in fact, anonymity has allowed people to grow past some of their fears in a social anxiety manner, which is one of the reasons why I personally would let my kid play an MMO, because I'd want to work with them and say, yeah, this kind of stuff is going to happen in your face. It's going to happen in school. It's going to happen online. Now let's talk about how to deal with it and how to actually cope with it. How do we do this? I want to be that involved, but I'm also one of those people talking, only you can prevent forest fires. You know, it's all on your shoulders to make the experience all it can be. It's you guys who make the community. End of story. So I have my soapbox to stand on, and I can go with that. But unfortunately, you do have people who don't know. I see Blank kind of going, I've got something to say, so I'm just going to totally let Blank talk.
I got a little sidetracked when you were talking about the anonymity part. I think that it's two sides of a very, very sharp coin, where I've gotten Twitch messages of people that, you know, are like, I lurk in your stream. I've been here for a year, and I'll get a message once a month that, hey, I'm still here. I don't talk. I'd like to be here. I'd like to be a part of it. It is something that it feels safe and comfortable, and that is there. I think it's awesome. It's the other part, and if I will say that while you are anonymous on the internet, I'm very well aware. I do have some friends who, especially for Blizzard, where folks had made comments like, I'm going to kill myself, or I'm going to rape you, or I'm going to find you. And I know that Blizzard, depending on the severity and like the customer support, have in the past worked with local law enforcement and used your information to have, you know, people checked up on. And that is probably something to throw in the pot here too, you know, because we're also talking about what should developers do, what shouldn't they do. I remember hearing about that and being like, oh, whoa, that's kind of, you know, crazy. And some people are like, well, that's breaking your, you know, you shouldn't use your information for that. But in my opinion, and I'll throw this out to you guys, of the times that I was aware of, there was a child who learned the message, or I say child, but a young teenager who learned that you don't just say things on the internet about wanting to hurt yourself, because the local cops can show up at your doorstep to check on you. There was a predator who had charges put against them. Like, it is there, but how deeply involved do we actually want developers on this, and how much should actually be on the community?
Now, see, that's the thing. I like this. What I will do from across the way, by the way, Blank, is I am going to do a double knuckle bump with you, because all I am going to state is, when it comes to game development and design, let game developers develop whatever type of game they want to build. Whether it's a game of big-breasted women who do nothing but fight each other, making orgasmic moans, which there is a game that does that. If you want to make that game, do it. Go for it. Make whatever game, you know, floats your boat, because honestly, that's where creativity comes from. However, we are going to always have to deal with the fact that there are going to be people who don't put enough effort and time in to figure out what is the truth behind this particular circumstance. Is this game really, quote unquote, going to teach my kid to pick up a gun and shoot somebody? Is this, quote unquote, going to teach my kid to hate hookers? I mean, kind of going back to the GTA thing here. But what I will state is, it's not just the game content. I mean, like you said, Lewis, the person said it's just a game, or the lady said it's just a game. In a way, it is just a game. But, Ed, what would you do if you found out that game developers were completely bending to, say, a nanny state society where everything was cushions and everything else was just all peaches and flowers, and that's what all the MMOs were about now? And they stamped it with children. And yet they let people talk to each other with a chat. Let's throw that out there just for fun.
And in what respects are we talking about? Do you mean that do you mean that an MMO developer develops an MMO that is heavily policed?
Yeah.
To the extent that it's To what extent? So are we talking something that
you,
enables...
you build the scenario for us, because in all honesty, there's not enough money in the world to properly police something. There isn't. And then you have to ask whose judgment call is too far. Who makes the judgment call that this person is mature enough to play? You know, that's
Right,
a
so
whole different can of worms there. But
well,
yes.
that's essentially the question you're asking. You're trying to build a scenario, and what you're actually trying to ask me is how much is too much censorship from a game designer's perspective.
Yeah, I'll throw that out there. I was going to say from like community involvement, but yeah, go ahead for it.
Well, whichever way you want to look at it, you're basically asking how much is too much censorship in a game. At the end of the day, we have censorship in online games at the moment to some extent. There are basic rules. From a community perspective, we run some basic rules. I think I said this yesterday actually about from our community perspective, if you wouldn't say to someone in the street, then don't say it, and we're very upfront about that, and we have those lines in place, and that's established. So, I mean, Black will be the same, your guild will be, Mezfa will be the same. There'll be those lines in place, and we're very upfront about them. I think realistically, it's a hard call to make to say how much censorship is too much censorship. The issue really is about knowing what level of censorship there's going to be within a community when you get allow someone like yourself to be exposed to it. So for example, you'll know, for example, if you let a child loose on Call of Duty or GTA, that you're not going to expect a level of censorship for an 18 plus game that's going to be the same as a game that's rated, say, PEGI 13. So the level of censorship that's going to be expected is going to be much lower. However, at the same time, I've got to be honest, and this is a personal opinion thing now, I think that while communities are great in MMOs generally, and compared to some other gaming environments, there's some way that developers could go to allow parents to exert a bit more control. We currently have things like chat filters, but chat filters can certainly be turned off. We don't really see I couldn't even tell you a single MMO that has lockable parental controls. That same sort of thing that we see on television sets now, on video game systems. These simple things that it's very much, there's a lot that's left to the community to do, and the community managers, and a lot of censorship is very soft within games, irrespective of the fact that Blizzard, say, for example, go and pass information on. It's to some extent reactive, and that's the way that censorship's managed within MMOs at the moment, is a very reactive format when it comes to pursuing individuals, and it's only proactive in the sense that the community, for want of a better term, is massaged. It's encouraged to act in a certain way, and those reactive examples of banning players are used as examples of what will happen to try and incentivize you to act in a certain manner, but there's not that kind of proactive ability for individuals to police the content coming out the screen the same way.
Well, let's do this. We've had a lot of people who've made the same comment repeatedly. And I kind of just want to throw it out because I couldn't agree with them more. So let me scroll up. Orange Waffle has said it. Eaton has said it. Heck, Suliko has said it in her own messed up and deliciously awesome way, because I love Suliko. She gave me this. But anyway, parents at some point in time have to parent. They have to make the judgment calls. So there is that line that has to be done. Great. Now, when it comes to development studios, tools can be made available. I mean, you've got auto lockout with things like Blizzard's WoW. I remember when that got implemented. Chat filter and profanity filter. I kind of laugh at that. I really do. Because honestly, they can't quite get it right. Every single game that I have ever been involved in an MMO where they allow chatting, they will not, they don't get the words right. you kind of have words cut out that shouldn't be cut out because they contain letters that match certain things. And it just kind of is annoying, more so than anything else. So it would be nice to have localized control like that. I'd appreciate that.
Well,
I think
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lewis.
No, you go, dude. It's fine.
It's on you, Lewis. I'm gonna totally like produce on this one. Go, Lewis.
My niece is 13, and I think it was Kisera, might be pronouncing that wrong, that made a comment earlier about Facebook being worse than any MMO, and having looked at her wall or her comments daily, that alone is frightening. The fact that a 12, 13-year-old is undertaking what she is. When I was 12 or 13, I was geeking it up in my little office, playing Ultra Online, talking to no human beings, whereas now she's, got boyfriends and everything in between. And it's just think we live in that society where you simply cannot stop it. You can parent to the point where you can put your desk next to theirs, you can play at the same time, you can ensure that they're in a guild that you're in. But unless you actually put in those that framework of parental controls, i.e. ensuring that they can't be whispered, ensuring that it automatically declines a party unless it's allocated to X, Y, Z people or from a member of your guild. But then we're getting into the sort of territory of neutering a play experience, because what we're effectively saying is I don't trust my child to behave themselves online, or instilling a really paranoid attitude into your child, because all you're basically saying is you're playing this game, but it's not really a safe environment to play, and I think that's a really odd mixed message.
I think that's an odd mixed message, but I would state that there's nothing wrong with having the tools there. It doesn't necessarily, having the tools present is really, really important. Now, what I'm going to do is, we've talked a little bit about what games can offer us. Now it's time for us to look at what communities can offer as well. Now, I personally am involved in a exclusive community, which means you need to apply to get into the guild that I am in. And you have to meet certain criteria, including an age. We have a minimum of 21 plus. Now, I have had and run previously in my life a guild where we let anyone in who was old enough to play a game, which meant we had 8-year-olds with their parents playing. We had 13-year-olds. And still to this day, one of my finest moments was getting a 13-year-old through just talking to them on Ventrilo to go from, I hate books, you're never going to get me to read a book, to by the time I close the guild down, them going, I have read 4 books this week, let me talk to you about them. That is still one of like those moments that sits in my brain and makes me just go, ee! I could start crying, but I'm not going to cry. Anyway, what can communities do, especially if they have an age limit of, say, 13 plus? Because that's generally what they say you should be for an MMO. I don't know of any MMOs right off the top of my head that are for anyone younger than 13. Do you guys?
Hello Kitty Online?
Hello, yeah. I'm going to go with that.
Can you talk to people in chat in Hello
can.
Kitty? I haven't played Hello Kitty online. I've tried to avoid it because I have a feeling if I played it, I'd actually be sucked into the experience because it's Hello Kitty. How could I not be? But like Hello Cthulhu. But
Please, okay, you're kidding, right? There's even a kids MMORPG.com. There's virtual worlds for kids under 13-year-old updated daily. These things are out there.
Okay, this is the thing. I don't know about these things. I don't currently have children, and I'm not watching any children. So I don't have much say. What I'm really curious about, though, is what you guys think should be in place to help protect or nurture or support or not nanny, depending upon how you want to look at it, in a community. And Blank, because of the Psy, you get to go kind of first if you have any ideas at all. And I want to throw it out to you guys. In fact, you guys who are watching, if you have a suggestion that a community should take on board when accepting applicants under a certain legal age limit, aka 13 up instead of 18 or 21, depending on countries and stuff, send it in through the chat with a Q and a colon, and we'll read it out and we'll discuss it. But yeah.
first thing, because you mentioned it, and we totally can't get into it because it would be the rest of the show. There are certain legal obligations that you have to take depending on, software that you use, forums that you're on, stuff like that. I remember back in World of Warcraft, we used to have a highly inappropriate, not safe for work, put a sign up with your favorite character's name and show your boobies, and that person got a point. The person with the most points at the end of the month won. That we had to make sure that you were 18 or plus to be a part of the boards, and some people weren't. It caused issues. Legal stuff, I'm going
to let you know, I had an adult forum as well where people could post whatever the heck they wanted, but to get in, you literally needed to prove that you were over age.
Yep. But when it comes to what communities can do, not legally, but within social constructs that we have, it's difficult. One of the things that keeps sticking out to me is we keep talking about, what can game developers do? It's that age-old, and I believe strongly one way, kids go to school, they act out, people blame the teachers. I never blame the teacher. I always blame the parent. Like, if you didn't do your job, your kid goes and acts a fool, it's the teacher's fault because the kid's, bored at school or some other bull crap. No, I'm sorry. Like, parents got to parent. When it comes to what communities can do, communities hopefully are clear about their goals, objectives, what you need to get in, and then beyond that, with the nurturing and growing part, be supportive to the kids with it and what they need. You've got some kids like just right now we had somebody who applied to Viking Nation who is, I believe, 15, and we sat on the application and literally said nothing, and we waited just to see actions, how they contributed, what they did, maturity level, and then we also talked to them a little bit, poked around, are you the kid that won't go to school or skip school to do something? Are you the one whose parents are going to scream and yell at you if you mess up? Or are you the one who's responsible and takes care of things? Do you show those levels of maturity? And in the end, we said, we're going to kind of extend this. You have to put those sort of things in place if you're going to have, children around. And one of the biggest things for me, especially with the military background and the other sort of stuff, is dialogue, or saying swears out loud and being very upfront and being like, listen, I understand that you're 15 or 12 or whatever it is, but within this environment it's going to be like this, and if we need to talk to your parents and let them know that, hi, your child wants to come play video games with us, however somebody might yell holy mother effing bleepity bleepity bleep, and if you hear it, we don't want to, because I've been there where somebody's mom got on a microphone and started screaming, and we're just like, lady, we don't know what to tell you. Your kid just plays video games with us. Sorry. So that's something, that I would suggest too. Like, hey, listen, before you do this, you need a parental person to come in here in TeamSpeak. I don't care if they don't know what it is, and be like, your child may be subject or be around to naughty, bad words. Are you okay with that?
See, I want to throw something out there. You kind of put like stipulations on, are you the kind of kid who skips school? Are you the one who kind of plays the game instead of does the homework? I can't tell you how many people skip work as adults to play games.
Hey, but they're adults. They know the repercussions. When you're a child, those repercussions don't really fall on you, in my opinion.
Fair enough. The true understanding of the cause and effect, causality and effectiveness of your actions doesn't always register, even in an adult brain, but less so in a child, because they're learning what cause and effect is. And if you want to have a good community, I would posit to understand, have things in place for cause and effect to help people learn. It happens by osmosis. It happens by osmosis. For example, let's say that you're trying to teach a kid, or a kid has joined your community, blank, and they want to do PvP. Let's say that's their thing, right?
Okay.
They want to get involved in PvP. They want to beat people up because they see blank do it on screen. Ta-da! I'm going to use this for this.
Yeah.
So this occurs, and they're going to learn through playing with you how to respond to how often they die, how to respond to those moments when they make mistakes. Because at that moment in time, You're their community teacher, where they say it takes a community or a village to raise a child. This is what I'm talking about here. It's the little things you do in your community that have an impact. If you teach them that it's perfectly okay to do nothing but yell, scream, and scream obscenities, they're going to pick that up as a habit because you might be their first exposure to it, or you just might be their role model, or, you know, what have you. You're part of that community effort, which is why I'm not just saying in this case, it's not just the parents that have to do the parenting. It's also, if you've got that kind of open door policy where you let younger kids in, there's a village mentality that kind of has to be accepted as well.
I do agree, actually. I think you're absolutely spot on there because take that same example. If your behaviour in a guild is inappropriate, say you're swearing, you're raiding, you're excited. I mean, I've been in World v World guilds before, in Guild Wars 2, where you are literally abused by your own guild leader because you accidentally missed an elite or you were out of the, so by accepting, say, a 13-year-old into that guild, you are exposing them potentially to that sort of behaviour and condoning it because you are undertaking it on a regular basis. And it's the exact same where, say, they join a scout club. You know, if they join a scout club away from their PC and the scout leader's behaviour or the group members' behaviour is really pleasant, then that's going to have an impact on them as well. I mean, just to pick out what Badger Blade said in chat, his guild recently denied someone 16 because of...
Everyone's breaking up. Have I lost?
That's you.
That's me. I know it's me.
Stop wandering off the tag, scrub.
Like everyone's screen just went blurry and everything. I don't know what happened, but can you continue? Because what I heard last, and this means this is what everyone else has heard, by the way, but what I heard last from you was what Badger Blade mentioned in chat.
Yeah.
Hold on, it's now being very laggy again. I don't know what's going on.
I'm blaming Twitch.
I don't have a slow connection. I have an incredibly fast connection. Oh no! Back. Yay! Is it back? Ah! This is
yes.
really odd. Darn it.
Wrong button.
That's just it. It wasn't a button. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So you can hear me, which means that everybody watching is going to get you know what it was? It was Cthulhu. I was not hugging Cthulhu enough. I blame myself. So if you'll give me 1 second, I will let Cthulhu hug me. Or I will hug Cthulhu and I will die to... There you go. All right, so that should... That just always makes me think of Mars, Attack of the Martian thingy, where you have that space where the Martians turn into the woman and she's always walking around going... And anyway, so as you were saying, Badger Blade said...
Yeah, so he was saying in chat that his guild, the Unnamed, have recently declined someone because they were 16, even though their application was good. And a lot of people have also gone on about parents need to parent. And I just don't think it's that simple because the community has a responsibility to behave themselves if they admit to letting in, say, a 13 to 16-year-old, because as adults, no one needs to hear the F-bomb every other word because you've made a mistake in World v World. But on the other hand, we're making an assumption that all parents know about video games, that they understand what MMOs are in the first place and what they actually entail. You know, my parents, both my brother and I, have played video games since we were 3 on the ZX Spectrum, and they, to this day, can still not navigate or use a controller. You know, they have absolutely no clue, even though for 29 years they've watched their children play video games beside them. So I wouldn't really see it as ignorance on my parents' part. It's just do not understand it. They're from a generation that doesn't, and it is slightly different with our generation because we're from a time where we've all got tablets and phones in our hands. So I know for a fact that I'll understand what my daughter's doing or what my son's doing. But it's just not as clear cut as people are stating in terms of parents need to parent because I think it assumes a lot.
Okay. Go ahead, Screen.
I was going to say, I would say that from that perspective, that's a fair shout. I would hark back to something that Kat said earlier on in chat herself as well, that as a parent, one of the things that she would worry about least online is interacting with MMO communities. Hopefully I paraphrased that correctly. To some extent, the fact that we're having this discussion reflects the fact that MMO communities are engaged to a large extent in dealing with this sort of issue, and that communities generally tend, I would hope, responsible communities generally tend to police those sort of things. Like Badger said, they kicked back an application from a 16-year-old because it wasn't the right environment. I would have, back in the day when we were in Aeon and we were a tight-knit guild and there was a small group of players, I did accept applications from people under 16 and I did know their parents. Or certainly we had relationships with their parents. Their mum would come in the background and we'd hear them talking, we chatted to their parents. However, now where we're a bigger community, it's hard, they're across different games, it's harder for us, we take a different approach. And that reflects the fact that we try and take a responsible view on the people that we have in, and we try and protect people from stuff that's not the right environment for them. That, however, I would say doesn't necessarily reflect all gaming mediums and all gaming environments the same. The fact that I found an article in The Guardian titled today, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, a non-gamer's guide. Basically, it's a parent's guide to Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and should your child be able to play this? The fact that one of the questions said, should my child play this? And the answer says that it's a shooter, there will be almost constant gunfire, injuries from gunfire, which are realistically depicted. And just sitting there going, right, I'd be more worried about the gaming environment where my child's going to realistically get a chance to log into this than I would within an MMO environment of something like, I don't know, say coming up, like Guild Wars 2, like Warcraft, like WoW, where the communities are actively engaged and the community management teams are actively engaged in trying to build communities that are inclusive.
See, I would throw out there for me, and this was mentioned, and I wish I had caught the name, but it happened a while ago in chat, and I wanted to wait for the right moment to bring it up. So whoever said this, I'm going to take my hat off to you. They said, I am more worried about what happens in high school when my kid goes to school than I am on letting them play a game in an online environment. They are subject to more things at school that I have no control over at any way, shape, or form, that their friends may have some kind of influence on them. I mean, there is that. There seems to be this sort of almost harassment that, and this goes back to us trying to break that vision that people have of gamers as being nothing but vicious trolls, because that's not at all what we are. Yeah, there's a couple of us out there, but then again, tell me someone who you could walk down the street and meet who you would guess they had road rage or what have you. People come in all shapes and sizes, and the gaming community is only a microcosm of the macrocosmic of society in whole. But can someone, by the way, take care of those things for us? Because
I don't know what those. I don't know what those things are. What things?
I was more or less talking. We have a couple of moderators who are taking the long posts, because this is a topic where people don't have like one or two sentences. They've got posts that they want to share, and I want to.
Nightbot, and let them have paragraphs. That's what that is. Paragraph protection. I'm gonna say this, and I've waited to the end because I wanted to chuck this out there. The reason I do the things that I do as a parent with my daughter is because I want her to be a strong, not just female, but a strong person. And it took me 31 years to get to the point where I'm at now, and I've still got a crap ton more growing to go. I look back at, and I can't wait for the fun ribbing I'm going to get for this later. Things like the Spartans. Some of there is a time and have been times where children were given responsibilities, where they were taught about consequences. That this was a thing. My daughter's 3, but she knows that if she makes a choice, she sticks to it. She looks at me. She's like, "Daddy, I don't want to do that." "Oh, okay. What does that mean?" "It means I don't get a chocolate egg after supper." "You are right. Congratulations." I would challenge a community, any of them, a guild that are out there building, to not necessarily run around and police yourselves, but be aware that children are looking to learn, and you can share your experience. Hopefully it's a good one, and hopefully they grow, and you can protect them as when necessary. But it's okay to let them fall. It's okay. Getting back up is part of the process, and I think that's an important part of this conversation, because I really do feel like, yeah, communities can kind of stink or whatever, but if you don't learn how to deal with it, I mean, I know a couple of 20 to 30-year-old folks that I've dealt with in the last couple of years, where it's like, you're more immature, you have worse coping skills, you're unhealthy compared to some of the 15, 16-year-olds that I've known who have more drive and more conviction, more heart, more dedication than they do. So
well, I think as an individual, there's something to be learned from both sides. I mean, we as adults, just in general, can teach children how to take responsibility for your actions.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the case. Although I know plenty of adults who don't do that, and I really just want to walk up behind them and just smack them upside the back of the head and go, take responsibility for yourself. But generally speaking, that's how it works. But one of the things that you can learn from younger players, and I'm talking about the 13, the 14, the 15, the 16-year-olds, is that non-jaded passion and just almost sort of like that wide-eyed mysticism that gaming is. Yeah, we kind of grew up where we had things like Pong and Space Invader and Pac-Man at the local pizza parlor. We grew up in that kind of environment. Gaming is so prevalent now that if kids come along and they're like, yeah, I've been there, done that, seen that, and they're already jaded, my heart kind of breaks just a little bit, because I've learned so much from gaming, and that could be a topic unto its own self on a different show with us, etc. But I am now going to let everybody have their final say on this entire episode about For the Kids, and then we're going to talk about a couple of things, and then We'll see what happens after that. Cthulhu may or may not do something. So, Lewis, I'm going to let you step up to the plate first. Do you want to give a little bit of any comment that you want to make certain is heard by anybody who watches?
I was just thinking with the school, how appealing home tutoring is suddenly sounded.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll go out and get some textbooks from Amazon tomorrow. No, I've nothing more to add. I really agree and disagree with some of the comments. Being a parent's really tough, and it's quite shitty at times. But I think it would be a real contradiction for me if I didn't allow my children to start playing games when I started playing games. Because I know for a fact they'll simply turn around and say, Dad, when did you start playing games? And I'm not going to lie, and I will say 11. And I'm sure as soon as they hit that barrier, they'll be like, well, can I have my own PC? At which point, I'll give them my old one and I'll buy a new one.
I love this. Daddy, I want to play this game. Sorry, your graphics card can't handle it, but yours can. Sorry, it's for work. I can totally see that. That would be great. I'm going to throw this one quick question out there also for you to add to, Lewis. Stu wants to know, Minecraft is supposed to be for all ages, but on most servers, foul language is used. Do you have an opinion on this?
Minecraft's a funny one, actually, because I just put a comment in chat, but when I was at Eurogamer last year, it was the biggest queue out of every single game. It was absolutely snidered in kids. I'm talking as young as maybe 7 up to 16, the odd 50, 60, 70-year-old littered in there somewhere. But yeah, it's a bit of a strange beast. I don't really get it myself. I'd rather play a Landmark, but it is for all ages. But it's just open territory. It suffers as much from a lack of parental control as any MMO. And even though it's a building game, I still put it in that genre.
And see, I would completely say it's not an MMO because private servers can be run, and it's not like the MMO or the servers for Minecraft are actually being run by Mojang themselves, which are the developer of Minecraft. So, right. Blank, my dear, any final thoughts for the kids?
I'll give you an exclusive. When my daughter asks to play video games, and there's a couple of my real life friends that know this, I'm going to say yes. You get to start with Nintendo, and then you can have a Sega. And then guess what? If it's going to the same way I went up, you get to go up. You want to play Final Fantasy? I'm dead serious. You want to play Final Fantasy 1?
Do you have these?
Yeah. It's something that I've purchased through different things.
Wait up!
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna make her. You're gonna make her go through the horror of no saves in the early Final Fantasies.
And blowing on the cartridge.
There is a save. There is a save on Final Fantasy. There was that little battery. Remember? There was a little battery in it.
Further down the line.
But yeah, like I'm thinking about bringing them out now because she's already, I mean, those of you who've watched the stream, you see she loves to do character creation, and she's played Diablo. She doesn't really understand what's going on, but she does get the hand-eye movement, which is what I like about it. But on this subject, parents, do your job, communities, be strong, and know what your guidelines for the people that you're around. You know, if you're a bunch of hardcore PvPers who have absolutely no limits, who are just going to scream and yell at each other, and that's the environment you have, don't bring in, Susie Q, who's like, I want to PvP with Ed, because that's a bad idea. Just probably going to have to say no thank you.
Oh, poor Ed. And speaking of Ed, I'm going to throw out the next step in the questioning from Stu, again about Minecrafting. He had some servers have language blockers. Do you think Mojang or all servers should have it?
I think the ability to implement it should be available. Whether it is or not is entirely down to whomever is hosting that environment.
Fair enough. And your final thoughts for the kids?
For the kids, I'm actually going to split this into two sections. Firstly, the community side of it. Like Blank said, know who your target audience are when you recruit for your community. Every time we've had a Campfire show, we've always come back to building your community through good recruitment. Exclusive. We all run exclusive guilds that require you to go ahead and apply to them. And when you carry through that sort of screening on the front end, it allows you to have some level of control as to what's going on and who's coming into your guild. So doing that homework in the first place is, from my point of view personally, it's pretty imperative, and that will allow you to understand the people that are coming into your community and what sort of community you're building, so that you don't bring in people that aren't going to be able to handle that. Put that framework in place and understand where you want to go with that community. In terms of a parenting side of things, I'm not going to say, because I'm not a parent, what I am going to do is I'm going to steal some advice from someone I do know who's a parent and who's a gamer, and what he does at the moment is something similar to what Blank's planning to do with Lily. He currently has a daughter and she's getting into video games, and what he's done is he's bought her a generic Japanese handheld console sponsored by a plumber in a red suit. And he has two of those, and he plays with his daughter. So he's started her playing video games because she wants to play video games. She's not even 10 yet, but she's at the stage where she can understand how to play that handheld console, and he will sit down and he will play with / against her on the handheld console, so that she kind of understands what she's doing with video games, and he's got some level of parental control over what's going on there. Obviously it's going to be more difficult when you let your child online into an environment that's less predictable, because console gaming is in some way more predictable and easier to control. But it's one of the steps you have to take, and hopefully if you're already engaged at that point, then further down the line you still have that level of engagement.
Okay. And see, here is where I'm going to add my lovely 2 cents, and I'm going to take it from the perspective that a friend of mine took it. I have a friend of mine who has a son, and my friend does work for Amazon. So high level, the AWS stuff. I mean, all the big stuff that is all technologically, oh my God, geek, like so exciting. And they do security stuff. So what they did is they got GTA when it came out, and their kid, I believe he was roughly about 6 or 7. They played it with him, but they turned the sound down. So that's an engagement that they did. But what he also did is he set it up so that the only way that the kid could access websites about GTA to learn about the game was if he was logged in with the father's account. He told me, and I asked him point blank, I said, what happens when your kid gets to be as good, if not better than you, at actually cracking through the systems that you have in place, you know, the firewalls and everything else that you've got? His response still sticks with me. It was, the moment he can do it is the moment I sit back and let him.
Yup.
And I just went, you make a good point, but I would also hope that in the process, there's still that engagement. I firmly believe it takes a community to have any sense of fun in life, which is why I do the things that I do, which is why we have the campfire. And I don't care whether you are a parent, I don't care whether you are a child, I don't care whether you're a niece, nephew, uncle, or a worshiper of Cthulhu. I have no care. I just want everyone to kind of be like Bill and Ted and be excellent towards each other. And I have no problem with people trolling, because trolling can be fun. I get trolled by my hosts all the time.
You've been relatively well behaved, even when you managed to slip in that Bill and Ted quote right there.
Yeah. Yes. So we have our typical things that we do at the end of the show, which is where we let our guest share thoughts about things and introduce people to stuff. We've run a little over tonight, and it's been on purpose because this is a massive topic, and I knew it was going to go somewhere, but I wasn't certain where it was going to go, and I didn't want to cut anybody off at the pass. So hopefully we'll have to bring Lewis back to dig into even more topics so we can get opinionated and let him just go off on rants and soapboxes. That'd be great. But yes, do me a favor, please, Lewis, and take some time and tell us a little bit about some sites that you think people should be aware of.
I picked out 2. One is called MMOGypsy.com, which I'll put in chat, which is awesome. It's written by Sil, and she's basically just on the money when it comes to MMOs, the genre, the industry. She's a bit of a writer, a bit of a fan. Just check out her site, it's absolutely ace. And then the other is taprepeatedly.com, which I will chuck in. Because Steerpike, the editor-in-chief, is an amazing writer. It's one of the first sites that I started writing on. It Looks the Biz, which my brother designed. And it's one of the few sites out there that doesn't do news. It just does really, really shit editorials. So I'd really recommend you check it out, because Tap is without question one of the best sites on the internet in terms of video games and opinions on video games. If you're looking for something generic news-wise, avoid it at all costs. But if you're looking for a discussion and something a little deeper than IGN or Kotaku, then I'd definitely recommend you bookmark both of them.
Excellent. And now for the fun part, because nothing else we've done is fun. Because I've noticed I say that a lot, and I got picked on it and trolled, and we're moving on to our Kumbaya section. Our Kumbaya section is literally all about trying to raise awareness for things. It's modified since we've started it. So what I am going to do is I am going to throw out to all of my hosts here. Are you guys currently aware of any charity events that might be going on or upcoming very, very soon that people should be made aware of. And if you happen to know of anything, maybe, I don't know, I don't see any movement from any. No, I'm just joking, Blank. We'd like you to share it. And the only other thing that I want to throw out there is a lovely little lady who is not feeling too well. And I will let Screen give that little information so that people can send hellos and hearts and stuff and hugs through Twitter, if you do not mind, Screen. And then I am going to let Blank tell us a little bit about some charity events that are coming up that people should know. Go ahead, Screen.
Oh, if any of you guys have heard of a fantastic lady called Donna Pryor, she's a community manager out in the west coast of the US. She's been involved with a number of games, quite heavily with Guild Wars 2, as well as some tabletop stuff and the tabletop gaming scene out in Bellevue. She is currently just about to go in for her cancer op tomorrow. And if you could just send her all your love, that would be amazing. The more support she has for that.
And her Twitter. Better. So people can send
just
it.
Send that out to the chat.
Yeah.
Now.
What kind of link is
just
that?
give her you.
That's not a proper Twitter link.
Yeah, it's failure. Fail sauce.
Well, you fix it then. I'm trying to do the
deal.
talking and the admin, and you're just sitting there
don't
on
hurt
your ass.
yourself. Don't hurt yourself.
I
got
won't.
you.
That's fine. Know your place.
Welcome to what really happens on this show. But yes. So if you guys can do me a favor, it just takes a couple seconds. Just send a message, hearts, hugs, get well soon, support, whatever you can. Those actually have an impact on people. I can't tell you the amount of people who sent me a little hug when I wasn't feeling well, and boy, did that really help. But then again, I'm addicted to community. I'd hope all community managers are. So, yeah, give a little love. Right, Blank, charity events. What's going on? In the gaming world, what charity events do we have going on?
For Viking Nation right now, we kind of got poked about this one a while ago. We just went hard for healing over time, and I asked around, I'm like, you guys want to do another charity event? I was like, do you have donation fatigue? And Viking Nation was like, what the bleepity bleep is donation fatigue? So Operation Supply Drop, or OSD, it's a gaming charity. Basically, they send packages to Soldier, to America, and her allies to deployed in forward combat zones, and those that are also recovering in military hospitals. I'm going to give you guys a little link to go check out, and feel free to put in a donation. It's a pretty cool deal, and as a military guy myself, I find it pretty awesome. They didn't have stuff like this when I was overseas. What we got was Gatorade and other unmentionable stuff. So this sort of thing is really cool, especially when you're on your downtime and you've cleaned all your weapons and you've gone through everything you need to go through. This would be pretty cool. So. Just throwing that out. I believe it's on the May 17th is when the actual event happens, and there are quite a lot of people that are raising money for this, and who will be streaming on Twitch for 24 hours. So,
all right, can I jump in with two things? One, do they send tea?
Oh, God, I can ask. I'm sure.
Make that inquiry.
Hello, can we get some tea in our packages? So overseas, because the water's already hot anyways. So. We'll just put the tea bags in. Okay, and what's the next one?
The next one is, it's not technically a charity event, but it is something relatively close to our hearts that we've been over before with some people that we have been on this show. Can I throw this out there?
Go ahead.
Right. So there's a Kickstarter currently running that Ladies of the Round Table are involved in. It's called No Princess in the Castle. These guys are looking at a documentary featuring a number of female gamers and how the gaming industry has treated them and how they've had to battle against prejudice. They have 21 days to go, and they are only 26% funded at the moment. It's not a huge Kickstarter goal they've got, and although we don't normally put Kickstarters in, it's a fantastic cause, and not only do Ladies of the Round Table feature on this, but one of our future guests also features on this, and I'm not going to tell you who it is. You just have to guess later.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so we've gone over quite a few things, and here is where we now take a moment and we just say, Lewis, my man, it has been an absolute pleasure having you join us.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Indeed.
I take it we'll have you back at some point in time.
Yeah, if you'll invite me.
I don't know, man. You have opinions. We can't have that in this world. Actually, I prefer opinions, but you know. Yes. So thank you so much, Lewis, for joining. Thank you, all of you guys, for participating and, you know, for being a part of the chat. I can't tell you how many times I get told by people that they are blown away by how our moderators don't really have to moderate our chat because everyone has so much amazing experience and things to share. And I love that. It just goes to show that we do have people who do want to think for themselves, who do want to be analytical, and who still want to be around other people who may not agree.
Yeah. Our moderators don't have to moderate our chat, but they do have to copy paste Nightbot's deletions like crazy.
I'll fix all that. Give me time. I can only do so much. I am only a woman. One single individual. Bear with me. Doing probably like the work of like 17 people, but it's neither here nor there. Okay, so as we kind of do with all the ending of all of our streams, what I'm going to do is I am going to play roughly 60 seconds of commercials. If you wish to participate in watching those commercials, great. It helps to support. If you don't, not really worried about it, but I'm going to play them. And while they play, we do have some people who have subscribed to us already, so thank you. Basically going to do sort of like a little song and dance. And this time we will be dancing.
More subscriber content.
Yes, I know. Yesterday it was the cat. What could you possibly do this time? And
Black strip. That's all I can think of right now.
No. I'm going to start the 60-second commercials and then we'll be right back. And I'm just going to start it because this is just going to get out of hand. 60 seconds has started now. So while the 60 seconds is going on, do you want to do a little dance?
The cat's so unimpressed.
And Ed's grown another spare arm.
Ed has multiple. Ed has an extra foot that apparently, like, that shows up occasionally and points and is all like pointy and stuff. Although sometimes he has a raccoon.
We really need to get that back in play when we get Amy to wear the onesies, and we'll change them over every week. We'll have a rotation going on. But she doesn't seem to be up for that anymore. She's just kind of like, nah, we moved house, fuck it, don't care anymore. What? Yes. Are we still on ads?
Ever so slightly. Okay, you've actually been asked to dance, Lewis, so do a little dance.
I've been asked to dance.
Lewis has. Oh, come on, even just your finger up and down?
I don't dance for anyone.
To quote,
even if me and Blanco dance.
Here,
Blanco dance if you dance.
I'll dance the Cthulhu.
Lewis, you have a kiddo, right?
Yeah.
You just wait. They're gonna be like, "Come on, dance." You're gonna be like, "Oh." All right, dude. My neighbors outside, they've looked up because I have my windows open, and it'll be the end of a movie, and she'll be like, "Daddy, come dance," and I'm like, "Yeah, F it." Yeah, you just wait. It'll happen.
It's all coming.
I'm appreciating the insight into the life. But yes, on that particular note, guys, thank you so much for being here. And
doesn't fit.
As a reminder, tomorrow we have the Blizzard forecast with Parv, with Blankspace, myself, Dr. Marshmallows. Hopefully, Mizpah is back and not ill. He has been really sick this week. Well, if he's undead, Cthulhu may have plans for him. I don't know why I'm doing that. That's just really weird.
Can we remind Cthulhu, if he becomes undead, to write him a list of stuff to bring with him at the next live broadcast? Not
guess we
going
could.
to ever let that go.
I guess we could. But Friday we've got Cosmotronic, which is literally all about WildStar. I am going to give you a hint. We have a guest from Carbine joining us sometime in the next couple weeks, and I can't tell you who. I will just simply state Pseudo will squeal.
Oh, really?
And hey, it
Old
depends.
news
It
to him is
depends.
like,
It
he's like,
depends.
I've met them all. I don't care. It's like, yeah, whatever.
Blink is not that mean. But yes, don't forget about the Cosmotronic.
Sorry, he's not that mean.
You know, there are a couple of members of Carbine that if they joined, I'd squee. We already had Frosty on. I want to get Bardic on. I want to get Pappy on. There's a... What? What are you doing? Why are you...
I have nothing to say.
Nothing new. Am I getting good with trolling?
That was a swing and a miss. Strike one.
I don't know how to troll. I'm still learning how to troll. But we have to take me back to boot camp at some point. But yeah, basically, also don't forget that this Friday, Gazier may or may not be with us, depending upon his travels to Germany. He just got back from Eve Fest. Eve's
Get
Fan
him on
Fest.
the line with beer and schnitzel.
Sure, that's going to be our goal for the Cosmotronic. But don't forget then that Saturday we have Top Draw, and it's our first Top Draw that is on a Saturday, and we're changing things up. Dr. Marsh and I are. And then Monday, Mizpa and I are back to literally butt heads and argue because we can't seem to agree on many things. It's kind of funny. And we may or may not have a guest then. I can't tell you because that's the way things roll here in this dungeon. So, but yes, thank you all for joining. Thank you all for participating. I send hearts and loves to everybody. And Cthulhu sends slurps because Cthulhu's awesome. And yeah, I will now say Toodle Pip, and you guys can say bye-bye as well.
Bye.
Ace you back.
Goodbye.